Hello, everybody. How goes it? How's everybody doing today? I've been a little MIA the last couple of weeks. Um, I think it really started when Charlie Kirk, the whole Charlie Kirk thing happened. Um, I realized that the entire narrative and all the headlines and everything would be dominated with that story. That you would have people picking apart the footage and dissecting everything frame by frame. And it really didn't matter what was posted in that time. You were going to get flooded and be drowned out by the Charlie Kirk stuff. And it's still happening now. And I gave some thoughts on it when it originally happened, and now that the dust has kind of settled, um, it is safe to say, uh, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter when it happened. He is one guy, and he was a pawn. At the end of the day, Charlie Kirk, knowingly or not, was a pawn. And him existing or not existing changes virtually nothing in the grand scheme of things. Now, whether it like started that way or what, who knows? It really again does not matter. It doesn't matter if it was our government. It doesn't matter if it was some deranged lone actor leftist. Doesn't matter if it was Israeli intelligence. It doesn't. It really doesn't matter. And the fact that there are still people like hyper focused on this and like trying to figure it out, it's like watching people drive off of a cliff. And of course, it's all the same people: Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Benny Johnson, all the people in the fake alt-right influencer sphere. It doesn't matter. And while that was going on, like one of the things that happened, for example, Peter Thiel, someone who has a little more leeway than Charlie Kirk, for example, gave his speech on the Antichrist. There were many deals that were closed, including like the Oracle takeover of CBS, the Oracle takeover of TikTok, which TikTok was already on Oracle servers 3 years ago. So that is like the fact that everyone thinks that TikTok is now compromised is fucking retarded, because the same pro-Zionist interests owned ByteDance 3 years ago. They have a 60% ownership of ByteDance. One of them being pro-Zionist Jeff Yoss. Susquehanna International Group is invested directly in TikTok. They have been, or in ByteDance, which owned TikTok, and it has been on Oracle servers since 2022. That is a fact. They worked with Cepheus, which is basically all of the same, all the social media companies have to comply with. So it literally nothing is going to change, except there's going to be a little more censorship, but there was already censorship. Trump RX, Oracle, nanoparticles, World War III. Yeah, exactly. It's all the cheat-cheese, not the use. I decided to just kind of take a break and focus on stuff that I had to do at home instead, and kind of research behind the scenes and things like that. I did have the idea to do a Lies and Ties episode where we map out like TPUSA. That's up to you guys if that's something you would want to see. I mean, I have some ties for them. One thing people don't understand is like the TPUSA thing. TPUSA is basically attached at the hip to like the Jesuit order, which is, they're all about psyops and deception and everything like that. And Charlie was on the Council for National Policy, which is basically the right-wing version of the Council on Foreign Relations, which is, the Klaus Schwabs, the Henry Kissingers, the George Soroses, right? It's just the other side of that. It's just another flavor. And it's crazy. And to see now, like, that we are having the National Guard be rolled out in areas like Portland, obviously like DC, Chicago, and all sort of going off of this sentiment that there are crazy people that are just out here killing people because of their beliefs. And that's kind of setting a dangerous precedent, because Zionism is a belief. And I kind of saw this coming, where now, as of today, apparently there was some sort of terrorist attack against a synagogue. And what you're going to eventually see is that the conversation of like, there is a war on Christianity. It's going to be, there is a war on Judeo-Christianity, and they're going to take all of the religious power that is getting installed into the government, and they are going to basically use that to weaponize it and call people terrorists. I had alluded right before that happened that they were going to make Antifa a terrorist organization, and then like 2 days later, Trump signed the executive order that made Antifa a terrorist organization. And it's one of those things where it's an extremely slippery slope. And yeah, that's how we get to the Noahide laws and the IHRA laws, exactly. And so I'll go on record right now and say this. Anybody that is still trying to get you to pay attention to whatever happened to Charlie Kirk, it wants you distracted. They don't want you paying attention to your government. They don't want you paying attention to the police state being built around you. And they don't want you to care about things like the biodigital convergence. They want you to stay beholden to the psyops and the distractions. I'm like, Terry, I did an intense catch up for 6 weeks. I'm now enjoying my first live. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. This is where you get me raw, unfiltered. Anything that you guys want to talk about, I'm down to talk about. Usually I use this as my show to kind of talk about everything that's going on and why it's fake and gay. And I think it's important because as soon as you can get people to realize that everything that's being talked about on like a national scale, a mainstream scale, it doesn't matter. What matters are the things that people aren't talking about. And when it comes to the people that are still pushing the Charlie Kirk thing, or thinking that we're ever going to get the Epstein files, people that push two-party politics or think that there is a such thing as Democrat or Republican, that does not exist. It is not real. It is all fake. I know you guys do know that. There are people that still believe that. There are people that still push that. Nick Fuentes is a very, very prime example of that. I know he's kind of been in the news a lot lately. There is no like smoking gun to prove that Nick Fuentes is like a Fed or a federal agent. There is a case to be made for a death by 1,000 cuts. And I think that is absolutely, what needs to be kind of looked at. Ian Carroll is another one. It's like, yeah, he's not exactly, right next to these people, but then you look at his sphere of influence and all the people that he's kind of associated with in the past. And, people say, well, you're playing this guilt by association thing. And then we'll turn around and demand the Epstein list. And I don't know how there's a difference. Like I have no proof, but I'm convinced that Nick Fuentes is a Jesuit. He's Catholic. He keeps people on the distractions, everything like that. So I was just debating the Nick issue with my friend this morning. Yeah. And so, you look at, just for like a quick recap of the things that I can remember, very early on with Shapiro, his January 6th thing, he was literally at January 6th telling people to break down the barriers and disregard the police while he sat there and did nothing. Colin, thank you for the donation, my brother. I really appreciate you, man. Were you able to catch that stream with Non-Vaxxer? It was very good. It was very good. I think we got like a good general overview of everything, but we'll start doing follow-up streams and stuff to kind of go more in depth on some of the pillars. They want their rendezvous with Destiny. You mean Destiny, the streamer, who is also, very close to Nick Fuentes? Can you talk more about the Jesuit issue and the connection to the Sabbateans? I don't think I understand it. Yeah, so now this is where some people will kind of disagree. I am under the impression that the same vested interests that have been propagating the Sabbateans help to set up the Catholic Church. Now that's my opinion. Most people seem to focus on the Catholic Church and the Vatican being sort of infiltrated, which to me doesn't make sense, because like the same Canaanite priests. Look into wired headphones. I'm using wired headphones. But the same Canaanite priests who push like the Judaic religion, the Mesopotamian deities and stuff, like Eusebius of Caesarea. He came from Canaan. He was a Canaanite scholar. Okay, he's considered like the father of church history. He was actively there in Rome while the Arian controversy was taking place. He was there to help oversee the Nicene Creed, or the Council of Nicaea. He accompanied Constantine's mother to her pilgrimage in Palestine, where she allegedly found the original pieces of the cross 300 years after the crucifixion of Jesus, allegedly. And right as Constantine, her son, was taking the throne in Rome, who had been groomed by the same Eusebius of Caesarea from Canaan. He was a Canaanite. He was a descendant of the Canaanites. And so he was there to, he groomed the Emperor of Rome. He went with the mother of the Emperor of Rome to establish some sort of like credence for Christianity within the state of Rome, and then also oversaw the Nicene Creed and all of the discussions and stuff that went on there. So in my opinion, Catholicism in and of itself originated from like this Canaanite Mesopotamian deity worship, and was propagated as a way to make the Roman Empire fall. That's just in short. Now, a lot of people will say that, the Vatican was kind of infiltrated at various points. So whether that is, in the 1600s, I think is one that is very commonly referenced. I believe there was another one like the 1800s or late 1700s. And then the 20th century. So the 1900s, and people say that there are different times in which the Vatican was sort of taken and infiltrated and kind of turned into a Jesuit, outfit. But I think that it's kind of operated alongside the same people who run the Jesuit order since its inception. That's my opinion. If that kind of helps. So essentially what they do is the Jesuit order is, obviously they're sort of like an intelligence branch. But they infiltrate religions, and mainly Christianity, obviously. But what they do is they are there to kind of provide the Christian explanation as to why Christians should, as a populace, sort of go along with the agenda slowly. I mean, I think the biggest red flag is probably Pope Francis. Like, if you can't see that Pope Francis was an agent who was pushing gay marriage and trans rights and all of these other things, like, I don't know how to help you. But he is just one example, and they'll do the same thing with politics, where, before then we had, what was his name? Pope Benedict, super right, very order, like a theological sort of rule. And then now we get then we had Pope Francis, the other side, left, pushing leftist ideologies, pushing the left side of the agenda, and they do the exact same thing. Why did the Vatican move the obelisk? That's an excellent question. And so I think anybody that is like a Catholic or like very heavily Catholic and also involved in like politics and influence, I usually assume that they're just a Jesuit. In my opinion, we operate in a political space now where if you start to have these red flags on you, like you have to be able to provide like substantial evidence that you are not that. Like, you need to be able to absolve yourself. And if you can't, I think that should make people suspicious of you. Not in use anymore. They play pretend and poison their enemies. DC was built on land called Rome, bought from one Francis Pope. And yeah, we have Capitol Hill, which is just Capitoline Hill, or Capitoline Hill, however you want to say it. Club of Rome. Check out the ancient towers of Bologna. Twin Towers. What about the one before Benedict? After Paul II, he looked like the emperor from SW, and he was in Hitler Youth as a kid. That probably, he was probably also part of it. And that's the thing, right? Is like, just because, so let's say, like, we look at, you know, one pope, just because they only do a couple of the things that move the agenda, and then another pope does a lot of things, doesn't mean they aren't both still part of it. How would you prove you're not a member of a group, though? I think the best way is to openly and honestly expose it. So, you know, if someone says, like, you know, hey, I think that you're running cover for this thing, right? And they have substantial evidence. You know, I think that it is someone, you know, I've had people, like, the entire reason that I did the Racine web and I've started looking into Racine was because someone said, you will not look into Racine. You are providing cover for people who run Racine. And I said, all right, I'm going to start mapping out Racine starting tomorrow. Do you want to help me? And then we'll just do it all live and organically in front of people. And, you know, I think that that's really important. Again, I think it's the things that people aren't willing to say that are the most damning. Antifa firebombed Ice-T's tour bus because it said ICE, true story. I wonder which FBI agent firebombed Ice-T's tour bus. Needing to wear adult diapers by their early 30s is punishment enough. Wire cable slots. Oh, Sintberg. Yeah, well, that's the thing too, right? Like, Ice-T, he's probably on, like, USAID payroll and allowed them to firebomb the bus so that they could come up with the story of firebombing the bus to make Antifa look stupid, which they are. What is the title of the video about Racine? I can't find it. So I've done a couple of lies and ties on there where we basically were mapping things out. I think... Why did you read that? Read what? I think it's like episodes like 7, 8, and 10, maybe. Seven, 8, and 10, I think, were my Racine ones. But so that's the thing, right? Like when it comes to, like, someone like Ian Carroll, right? I have done enough research to understand that he is part of the Flynn Network sphere of influence, and the one group that he will not call out is Michael Flynn and his group. It used to be Peter Thiel, but then Peter Thiel became mainstream, and then he got around to doing it. So I'm like, okay, so maybe he's not on Peter Thiel's payroll directly. You know, he could still be getting some sort of kickback somewhere through a shell or something like that. But Mike Flynn, like, he will never expose the Mike Flynn thing. You know, people have, you know, said that I've been, like, running cover for, I don't know, what's another thing? Ann Vandersteel said that I was Mossad. I don't know how much I have to, like, discredit Mossad or point out people that are included in Mossad. I don't know what to tell people. Like, if there's anything I'm not exposing, please let me know, because it's probably just ignorance. And I think that's important too, right? Is like when you do make those like credible accusations because you're suspicious, the way that they react to them is very important. Ian didn't know who Brock Pierce was and did a podcast with his boys. He's either the dumbest fuck ever or he's yep. He also said Eric Prince wasn't a bad guy. He said all of that like in response to me, which I thought was funny. He actually brought my post up about him, and he was like, well, I'm sorry for a friend of a friend, but my friends are friends with Brock Pearson. He's cool. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, there are allegations of him raping children using drugs and holding them at gunpoint, but I guess that doesn't matter. Beware of Ian Carroll's power stash. Alex Jones and Pitbull Rogan are under his charismatic power. Yeah. Alex Jones and Rogan are both you know, can you get sued for saying that you suspect that someone is a closeted homosexual? Is that technically defamation? If I'm like, I'm not saying that they are. I'm saying that I think they are. I have no proof. But I think they are. I think they're all gay. I think they're all gay with each other. I think you simply say it's opinion, it's fine. Well, in my opinion, they're all gay with each other. Tory Smith always talked about the Veru Nod things Eric Prince did, and that was back in 2015, 2016. As long as you say allegedly. What do you think about Tripoli? He always seems to defend Rogan. I've met Sam Tripoli a couple times. I have been on his show once. I have talked to him about coming back on his show, and that hasn't happened. But the one time that I went on Sam Tripoli's show, I was trying to uncover this like CIA, DARPA connected, like Israel connected, basically influencer scheme. And because a couple of his friends were in there, he basically dismissed the entire thing. So I don't, you know, I don't know what to do with that. You know, I like some of Sam Tripoli's stand up, but I have no allegiance to him. It's been kind of weird because like since the one episode that I did, you know, he has only interacted with me like through proxies. So I ended up going to like the Bohemian Grove thing from Nephilim Death Squad. They invited me, and I went and like interacted, had a good time, and then I'm like, hey Sam, what if I come back on the show and I talk about like biodigital convergence, or I talk about, you know, something else? Maybe I don't hit that like sensitive spot. I even messaged him and I was like, I guarantee you none of your friends are in this web. Can I talk about this? And he said sure, and I've never heard back since. So even like stuff where it doesn't implicate his friends, I guess I'm not allowed back on. So they didn't say I wasn't allowed back on. They just have ignored me since. So I don't know, you know. I like some of his stand up. That's about all I can say. Cuz that was very I don't know. I was kind of taken back by how unwilling he was to like suspend his disbelief. It's like, you're supposed to be the conspiracy theory comedian, and you've seen all these crazy conspiracies over time, and you would think that maybe that would allow him to be a little less susceptible to falling for some of them. But I believe that they are a little too close to home for him to realize it. He may mean well. Willful ignorance is not a good intention. support me but don't ask questions is the Rogan brand. Yeah, and like I've done an entire thing. Where's that GitHub? Let me help you. That's a great question. Dave from 804 RVA. I would love to talk to you sometime, maybe next week, about setting that up. I've seen a couple of your comments previously, and I do have a GitHub set up now. And if you have some availability sometime, definitely. And so what we're kind of referencing is that Dave wants to help me take all of my Canvas files from Obsidian and move them to a place where people can download them that's open source and stuff. Real Colin said, you are a one-man agency. Kudos. Man, I don't know if I want that much credit. I'm just a guy. I don't know everything. I just want to know the truth, and I really fucking hate when people lie. I don't really see a point in it. And you know, it's one of those things where like I have no experience with like researching in a formal capacity. I have no journalism experience. I have never had like any formal training on like information gathering and fact finding. I'm just a guy that has been basically let down enough times by the powers that be to have finally understood that. And I'm just hoping people will do the same. I'm not asking people for money. There is not a system I'm trying to get you to buy into or donate to. You know, there's not like a big product that I'm trying to like sell people on. There's not like a community thing that I'm trying to get people involved with. You know, the number one thing that I always tell people is, you know, invest your time and your energy and your money into the things that give your life value. My time is your time. You're doing God's work. I'll DM you on the tweets. That sounds good. My bad, just looking out. Wait, what? Very smart. We love hearing it from you. Thank you. But yeah, I am definitely not an expert. Love to see the podcast. Ari Sabrina, post the link if you have it. I would still like to sit down with Sabrina at some point. I've sat down with Ryan, Sal, and now Sean. But yeah, I'd love to have a conversation with her. I'm down to 7C, Sabrina, Dabuma, and Wheezy. Now maybe one or two others. You're a legend, man. Keep it up. Love from Australia. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And I'll say this, you know, if there is ever a point where anybody, you know, starts to feel like, you know, I'm acting suspiciously or speaking suspiciously, you are allowed to put that in the chat. You are allowed to call me out, hold me to account. I don't really believe in like blocking people. If you're like intentionally doing something to try to sabotage the channel and get it shut down by violating terms of service, that's a little different. But if you criticize me and criticize things that I say, you are welcome to levy those here. You can tag me on Twitter. Let's talk about it, but let's do it publicly. I don't want to hide somebody holding me to account so that I can like spin up a tale, you know, that's convincing enough for them. Have all eyes on the conversation and allow me to defend myself or justify myself in the court of public opinion, as I think everybody should. There are going to be some people that, you know, believe the case that I make. There's not. It is what it is. You're not going to get everybody, right? If you start selling shit is when I question you. Man, I'm such a bad, like, salesman. You know, I see people all the time, like, plugging their, like, donation links or their merch store or their Patreon. Like, I have a Patreon set up. I don't even post anything to it. I have a Substack set up where I've, like, written a couple of articles. but I don't say like, hey, you know, I'm going to be doing this weekly thing. You guys should subscribe and give money. Like, I do have ways for people to give me money. Most of that was because I was tired of people asking me, like, how can I give you money and support you? But I don't keep those like sort of on the forefront. I just set up like a Ko-Fi, and I don't even know what I'm doing with that. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, it's like even people that I see that like sell free courses and stuff, I always have a little bit of suspicion, because it's like, okay, so are you like asking me to take this 6 weeks course so that you can like distract me from whatever is going on right now? I'm happy to relieve you of the burden of receiving money. Tag me. Sounds good. Yeah, I like, you know, it is one of those things where it's like, you know, I don't need it. I think we all need money in the system that we're in. But it's not the end all be all. At the end of the day, like, if, as long as you guys are like sharing the information and getting, you know, the policies out there and the people involved and like expose these things, that's really all I can ask. People aren't getting rich off of merch. It may pay some bills. Let me go see what I've made in merch in the last 3 months. Isn't Rumble owned by literally the entire Trump administration? So you have Chris Pavlovsky, who is part of the White House media. You have Rumble's connection to Tether, which is like Brock Pierce, which then comes in Epstein and Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick oversaw their IPO. Peter Thiel's invested, JD Vance is invested, Vivek Ramaswamy's invested. Yeah, Rumble is fucked. YouTube's fucked. Love your integrity, Seven Seas. Thank you. If you haven't had him on yet, you should get Ben Davidson on your show. Who's Ben Davidson? Someone also asked me about somebody else. Ben something? Ian Carroll is Ryan Dawson. That was a good one. Who was it? Was it Brandon? Brandon something? Everywhere is fucked? Yes. AI is using X live spaces to try and learn empathy. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about like the ability for people to, you know, that have gotten deplatformed in certain places. I know YouTube just said that they were going to like let people back on the platform, and people think that that is them, you know, learning from their mistakes and allowing free speech. They need as much video data as they can get their hands on to train their AI models. That is the reason why all of the tech companies have allowed everyone back onto the platforms everywhere. I call folks in the Synergy ground frequently on landlines. It's good to talk. Oh, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. I've actually considered like getting like a number set up so that I can just have people call in and we can talk about things. People that aren't like high profile guests or whatever that is, you know, it would basically be like, hey, if you're anonymous on Twitter and you don't get your shit seen and you don't think you can cover this all in a chat, call me, leave me a voicemail, let's talk. Maybe I'll play the voicemail, maybe I'll call you back and we'll talk about it live on stream. That's something I've kind of been, I've thought about a couple times. The time zones suck. Absolutely. Absolutely. He's from Suspicious Observers. He talks about the magnetic incursion happening within the next couple decades. The, what is that? The pole shift. BitChute seems mostly legit or no. I think BitChute might be like the least egregious, but is still part of it. The entire internet is part of it. Like if it is digital, it is being fed into the machine. That's what people need to understand. Like there is no digital good. it's all bad because it's going to, like, they're using BitChute to train AI. Even if you can't access it, they're taking the videos that are on there and they are feeding them into their algorithm. And that's not to say that BitChute, that makes BitChute like inherently malicious or malevolent, but that's what it is. The entire internet is a honeypot for data collection. And that's all it started out as. That's how it's going to end. Odyssey seems to have a lot of hard to find old deleted stuff, which is interesting because Odyssey, it was supposed to operate on like a blockchain, right? Where like things can't get deleted. Where'd that go? I thought that was like one of the biggest points. It's called the wide world web for a reason. Exactly. Appreciate your integrity, 7Cs. It's refreshing when everyone is selling something. Yeah, I have nothing to sell anybody. I'll also say, like, the people that are selling shit, okay, if they're selling you supplements, 99.99% of those supplements are coming from the same big pharma that they claim to be against. If they're selling you like these like EMF blocking things, they're all half-assed. Most of them don't work. There are people that are, you know, selling solutions of like data privacy or privacy crypto. That shit's all fake. Anything that requires electricity of essentially can be monitored. They can monitor the EMF levels on like a portable battery that you charge. Strangely, he doesn't think Charlie Kirk is an out and out psyop, though. Very rare he's not on the ball, but we all deserve our own point of view. Who's that? Staffordshire here. World Wide Web, I meant. We knew what you meant, brother. Blockchain has been hijacked. Patrick Mockridge, who has a detailed Mike Gill NH evidence vault on his blockchain, untouchable and free, is a good guy. Which fucking sucks because I hate eating my veggies and just want to pop some supplements. CERN invented the web. I'll say this. If it was made in a laboratory, it probably should not go in or on your body. I think that's a very, very good rule of thumb. If it was invented in a lab, it probably should not go on your body or in your body. You know, everyone always said like, oh, you're really cynical, blah, blah. Look, I have the best amount of evidence possible, and that is the long history of human beings surviving without using laboratory created supplements. In fact, I would argue that we were better than we were us creating supplements. Has that created like greater men? Has that created more advanced humans? Or are you still seeing everybody getting dumber and weaker and controllable? Search your own name in an AI search and you'll soon get a taste of your digital footprint. I don't even I try to not interact with AI at all. I know there are people that kind of do it for like fun, or they'll make memes with it, you know, like stuff that isn't super bad. But to me, it's like all of it is bad. It doesn't matter if you're feeding the machine junk food or Wagyu steak, you're feeding the machine. Stop it. AI cannot comprehend sarcasm. And I think that'll matter when all of us are being sarcastic and it decides that we're terrorists for like joking about some sort of form of dissent. Ironically, there are no IQ supplements. And that's the thing, right? Is like, okay, so all of the science that is behind all of these supplements and stuff, all of those are coming from studies that were done by the same scientific institutions that propagated COVID. So when people reference like the John Hopkins Institute for Medicine, and they're like, you know, according to this happens in your body. Well, I have a supplement that helps that. And it's like, so you're really just going to believe John Hopkins, who said that COVID was a virus that, you know, people needed to mask up for and you know, stay 6 feet apart for? You know? Like, are we really going to believe Duke University and all of their studies? It's one of those things where a lot of people don't know this, but like Robert Maxwell was very, very influential in the peer review industry. And he essentially created like a pay-to-play system where, you know, if people downvoted your thesis or your theories or your studies or your science, then it was largely disregarded by the rest of the scientific community. So it became this thing where they essentially, in order for there to be any sort of evidence, like scientific evidence that's credible, it needs peer consensus. Well, when you control all of the peers, you control the consensus, hence you control the science. These days, I'm an activist creating meme content for our group, mostly against APAC, is working to set up my own limited activism content. 7Cs is my IQ supplement. Well, I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like I'm making people stupider. I'm really like self-critical, and I suffer from imposter syndrome a lot. 7Cs, sorry if this is basic, but can you talk a bit more about the Jesuits? What about them? I feel like I did a pretty decent summary. Essentially, it's this group of people that follow like the Kabbalah and shit, and they masquerade themselves as like Orthodox Catholic Christians. Essentially, they have a heavy association with the Vatican. They're very closely aligned with things like Council for National Policy and the Heritage Foundation, and they align themselves typically with like the Christian conservative group, and they operate in a similar fashion as like a CIA agent would, but on behalf of the Vatican and institutional Christianity's like intelligence arm, essentially. Like, what are they? You said an intelligence agency? Yeah, not in any formal capacity, but like they are there to sow seeds of deception and get people to go along with the agenda, and they try to find explanations within the Christian teaching to justify every step we take in the agenda. Example being like when Pope Francis was advocating for trans people, he, you know, made it this thing where it's like, well, you know, Christ would have accepted them. We have to accept these people. And the trans movement was nothing but like a precursor to the transhumanist movement. And that's still what it is, where it's human augmentation, you know, using like scientific biomedical means, in order to, you know, basically change your biology. And now we're starting to see that with like transhumanism and stuff. And, you know, Pope Francis had a hand in getting the Catholic Church to accept that and like homosexuality a little more. And, you know, that's just a form of cultural Marxism. Think Madame Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society. Yeah, and then like you also have to consider, you know, how closely the Catholic Church, you know, on an institutional level sort of operates under this Judeo-Christian umbrella where they work alongside Zionist interests and pro-Jewish interests, and they basically equate Christianity as like a Judaism light. And so, you know, in my opinion, like when somebody says that they are like Nick Fuentes is a Catholic, you know who else says they're a Catholic? Mike Flynn. Mike Flynn, disinfo agent, Mike Flynn, DIA, PSYOP, wet work, associated with people in child trafficking networks, Mike Flynn, right? They allegedly want people to follow the same religious institution. You know, Mike Flynn wants you to believe in like two-party politics. Do you have any leanings? Just curious. The major religions all seem like a tool for mass control to me, but there's always something about creation myths I couldn't let go. As far as this place, seems like it was designed in some way. These words find you well, so be it, so it is. Hey, thank you for that. Yeah, so as far as my like religious leanings, I don't believe any man-made religion is ever going to be able to explain what the fuck all of this is. And in my opinion, I think that there are unseen forces that do connect us. A lot of people call that spirituality. But when it comes to instances of people like having empathy for one another, or when you feel guilty for something, all of these things that like kind of have you act against your own self-interest, because it just feels like the right thing to do. You know, the whether that's like socially conditioned into us or not. I think those sentiments kind of came from somewhere, and I think that that thing that does connect us and allows us to be empathetic towards each other, that has got to be like the closest thing to a god or a spirit or something like that that I can think of, because that's the only thing that like I think is universal and can be understood on like a human level. Like, have you ever watched somebody go through something and feel bad for them? If yes, then I think that you have a spirituality within you that connects you to other people that allows you to feel those things. And I think that when it comes to the people that practice like the Kabbalah and, you know, all of these like cultish organizations, that's when you start to absorb the people that aren't able to have that feeling, or have trouble finding that, and then use that lack of, you know, whether it's direction or whatever that is, and basically absorb people and recruit them. So in my opinion, people like Mike Flynn are not capable of having empathy. Like, he's been in operations that kill people. Same with like Eric Prince, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk. Like, these people are not able to feel that same human connection and empathy towards others, or care when they're, you know, mass culling people or mass spying on people. Alex Karp is another one. Like, he's a fucking psychopath. And the reason why is because they lack that thing, whatever that is, in people that make them not that way. The way that we act towards each other, and like common goodwill and decency towards your fellow man. Like, that to me is the way to go. And I don't think that it can be defined by like an identity. I think that it's like universal. You know, I think that can be applied to everyone on earth. And it doesn't tell you how to live your life. You know, this belief system doesn't set up like a set of rules or anything that people have to follow. It doesn't give authority to any figure or person or organization. And to me, it's like, it can be explained with empirical evidence, because it is something that everyone experiences, I think, on a grand scale. Empathy. And I think that empathy is is what spirituality is supposed to be, you know, doing right and like giving back and reciprocating and you know, just wanting to do good and be good because it feels like that's what you're supposed to do. You know, the people that think, you know, how can I get around it? How can I look like I do the right thing? How can I kill people and still make people think I'm a good guy? Those are the ones, like, they have infiltrated and taken over every institutional religion, and they will lead you to your own damnation. Whatever that may be to you, these people are not there to lead you to salvation. That's all I kind of have to say, I guess, about my religious leanings. So yeah. So with that being said, I do also think that like the Abrahamic religions were created by man to keep people afraid and control them and shit all the way back to like the beginning. Didn't come to that conclusion lightly either. Was an atheist for 25 plus years. Oh yeah, I was like a staunch atheist. Like when I was in high school, I was like one of those obnoxious atheists who would try to debate Christians. And then I came to realize that being that does nothing to progress the conversation, and if anything pushes people further into it. So I, you know, stopped being like an obnoxious kid, grew up a little bit, realized people don't want to be fucking bothered all the time with shit like that. And you rarely change people's minds. What's the easiest way to hook up a podcast with you and Sean? Where do I get your email? My email is contact7cs@proton.me. Proton, just so everyone knows, I do not endorse Proton because Proton was created by CERN, but it's not Gmail, so it makes me feel a little less dirty. But again, everything digital is compromised. I once knew someone that drank so much beer that they shot themselves at a Beastie Boys concert. I'd shit myself too if I was there because they suck so much. Scripture Jews create that shit, then fulfill it. Yes. That's a shallow evaluation, in my opinion. What's a shallow evaluation? Can't deny prophecy. So the men that ran the religion while the prophecy was being written are the same kind of men that exist today that are manufacturing events to fulfill that prophecy. It's cyclical. There is no prophecy. It's just a bunch of guys wrote some shit down a long time ago, and as we've gone along, people in their circles do things in the world to ensure that those events are interpreted as true. What's up, everybody? We cannot stop what God allows. Yeah. So in my opinion, like religion should be a thing that I think like you discover and develop internally with that like spirituality and like build off of that. The second that you have other people telling you what belief is and how to do it, you are being manipulated. That includes the Bible, because the Bible was written by other people to tell you what to believe. Come up with your own. Look internally. If you want to believe all that stuff, more power to you. I don't think that is the way to maintain like autonomy and personal agency, because you are allowing other people to have written rules for the way that you live your life. But even the religious people tell me that it's supposed to be a personal relationship. But then they all gather together publicly It's so confusing. It doesn't make any sense. Like if you want to believe there is a God, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. What I will do is say that if you are following the teachings of any established institutional religion, you are following the teachings of a man and not God. That's all I can say. If it was created by man, it is to control you. Dive into the confessionals. Yeah, I mean that's like the easiest way to get blackmail on somebody, right? Thoughts on the UK mandatory digital ID smartphone app. They can't force a smartphone app on you if everyone throws away their smartphones. Okay, so let's break this down. Systemically, most of the people that are being immigrated into countries that claim to be solving the immigration process by installing digital ID, they're coming over here legally. I know it's the same way with the UK, where non-government organizations are working with the government and private corporations to fund systemically importing people that don't assimilate into society to cause the chaos to justify the digital ID. So if most of them are coming over here legally, being funded by all of these things, digital ID doesn't stop that at all. All it does is it now tracks everybody in the country. If Jesus Christ was just a man, then explain the Shroud of Turin. The same Shroud of Turin that's pushed by the Catholic Church and has materials from like the 16th century sewn into it. The same Shroud of Turin that do you guys know about the myrrh bearers? The myrrh bearers were kind of like the Jesuits before Jesus was a thing. And essentially there was the place where Jesus was buried was on the property of a guy who was a myrrh bearer. And you know, whatever he said, and Tony the host, if you listen from the beginning, he was not a believer. Is it people talking about the belief or trippy shit they've experienced? Have you heard of the House of Ormy? I haven't. Myrrh? Yes, myrrh. Myrrh bearers. It was a bunch of it was all these like ritualistic priests who were doing like Kabbalistic shit. And they would burn myrrh during their rituals. And then it just so happens that the 3 gifts that Jesus got were frankincense, which was also part of rituals that were being done by Kabbalistic Canaanite priests, gold, and myrrh. But I can give a 10-day testimony for what he did for me, and I am still alive. But don't... It's... Okay, so the House of Ormy were the Yahwehists that kept those old rituals going. Really? Been questioned to how real that was and who are the weird-ass looking motherfuckers with those yellow hats. Let me see if I can find this. Let's see. Let's see here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to. Well, hopefully I can. It's looking like it's not possible. Let's see here. Did I put it anywhere else? Maybe I have it on here. Hold on. Here we go. Anytime I try to point out that the gifts of the Magi were all just Jewish ritual ingredients, Christians get really upset. Myrrh, due to its purple color, purple significance in Canaanite mythos, frankincense was an essential ingredient in the spice used in largely sacrificial rituals. Those are rituals where they were sacrificing animals, people, children. And I don't think I have to tell anyone about gold. Reminds me a lot of the raising of Trump into the position he's in. Is it because of the man, or was the stage set for him to become the figure that he is by new Magi? Makes me feel as though Trump will become the lamb and might not finish his term. That will be the Black Swan event to sweep their new world order right into place. Martial law, digital ID, World War III, etc. And this was on the Feast of the Fools thing that Rich did. My religion is just a divide and conquer mechanism. White nationalism is suffering from the same low IQ arguments. We can live in world peace, race first. Religion is personal matter. Yes. I come from a Christian background my entire life. My parents weren't like super Christian, but they like, you know, I told my dad when I was a teenager that I was an atheist, and he called me a fucking idiot. That is a direct quote, verbatim. So yeah. The Abrahamic triangulation, strangulation, Noahidism, enough isms, including scientism, religion, the oldest tool of control, but if the predator class gets their way, it won't be needed. I'm also making a timeline about 60s, 70s, 90s culture jammers that revolve around mind control. Look into the Church of the Subgenius. Have you ever looked into... Let me see if I can find this. Because there was something that was really influential with like the 60s and 70s especially. I believe Jim Morrison's family was involved with this. Let me see if I can find it. It was called the Wutundian It's Wutundian Experimental Psychology. Right here. Apparently, like, this sort of philosophy that was taught with the Wutundian experimental psychology ended up playing a lot into... What was the thing that Jim Morrison's dad was a part of? I can't remember for the life of me what that's called. Thank you for the support, Subliminal Messenger, Colin. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you. Trust quantum, yeah, and become a hybrid digital sentient synthetic something. No thanks. That we can agree on. Morrison's dad was a military officer, I think. Gulf of Tonkin. No, it was some like, let's see. Was the son of U.S. Navy Admiral George Stephen Morrison, commander of the U.S. forces in the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Yeah, there's that, but let me see if I'm going to try to find it. Was it this? Hold on. Maybe what I'm thinking is that the Wutundian psychological experiment influenced John Dewey, who then went on to influence. I think I may have misattributed that, but yeah, Morrison's dad started a war. Laurel Canyon Military Industrial Complex, Jim Morrison. Yeah, like the stuff that was going on with Laurel Canyon, it stems from this. So you guys should go look this up, and you should also look up like German idealism, because these were essentially like really influential, stemming from the French Revolution, which is where the Sabbatean Frankists, convinced France that they had to overthrow the king. Fabian Society, I believe, isn't Tony Blair? Tony Blair's the Fabian Society, right? He's the guy that's working the UK for them right now. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever watched Kay Griggs' near 8-hour interview? I haven't. He's a war criminal. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Any contract in English is void. Why? Because it's not an official language. Wait, what? What's the basis of that? Zappa's dad too. Yeah, a lot of the people. Like a modern example would be like somebody like Lady Gaga, right? George Orwell was Fabian Society, real name Eric Blair. And Orwell wasn't he taught by Huxley? And that's just X Club, right? That's just where you get the X Club eugenicists. Found the sovereign citizen. 7 minutes, tad slow, but hey, Tony Blair's bleed in every secret society going. Glenn Beck has talked about Fabian Society, so funny how everyone has their approved conspiracy talking points, but they're all kept separate enough so people don't put it all together. Yes. London City Core. Yeah, he was a friend of Huxley. I'm pretty sure Huxley mentored him. And Aldous Huxley's, was it his uncle, his cousin? Julius Huxley was part of the X Club, which was like a eugenicist thing. And, falls right in line with like the Epstein eugenicism. You can't be sovereign and a citizen. That to me is probably the best take, because if you are a citizen of a government, you are not sovereign. If you're a citizen of the American government, you can't be sovereign because you are beholden to the state. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing with like politicians too, right? Speaking of, what's really funny is last week Marjorie Taylor Greene followed me. And I don't know why, because she is a politician and I hate politicians. She's not following me on her government account. She's following me on her personal account. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Cuz let me show you guys something. Where to go? Twitter might be deleting my posts. Yeah, now I can't find it. But basically, I posted a picture of her feet and a picture of her with Mike Flynn. Oh, you know what? No. Oh, here it is. I posted this back in July. She probably wants to take credit for your discussions and what you talk about so that she may sound smart. She can look, if Marjorie Taylor Greene comes out tomorrow with like the lexicon of like a polished Yale graduate, it don't matter. It doesn't matter because she's part of the government. Ike is former BBC. He is also the former leader of the British Green Party. In 2005, the BBC made a docu on him called David Icke, Was He Right? That was shown in most European countries. Wild. Yeah, Brendan O'Connell. I shared something of his a while back, and somebody was trying to like say something about it, but I never looked into it. Yeah. Anyway, all right, I'll get those off my screen. So a lot of people don't know is that I have collaborated with the David Icke organization. He has a website called Iconic, where all of his content goes, and I did a 10-part series on there once. Now, with that, it was an agreement that I would do like a 10-episode series, and that was about it. I spoke directly with his son, Jamie, face to face, and I said, is there anything that I'm not allowed to talk about? Because if so, then I cannot do this. And he said, as long as you tell the truth and provide the evidence to back it up, you can talk about whatever you want. They never once censored any of the information that I put in there. Most of the time, what would happen is I would send them the video that I did like 10 minutes before it's supposed to be uploaded, and they just uploaded it. They didn't even like go through it or vet any of it. I think there was a lot of trust there, which I really appreciated. And in retrospect, you can go back, verify, I believe everything checks out. And I've worked a lot with Rich Willett from Iconic. And to this day, I have to say, like, there is nothing that I believe to be true that was kept from their website. I ended up wanting to like do my own thing, and do live streaming mostly, which filming content for those episodes was taking up a lot of my free time. Doing the research and getting it all together and trying to present like this edited thing. Like I'm not that kind of guy. I like to be live because it allows me to just be myself. David Icke did a lot to wake a lot of people up between 1990 and 2020, but the last 5 years he's come across as being somewhat of a gatekeeper. I would be interested to see like what you think he's gatekeeping. I'm not saying that you're wrong by any means, but from my understanding, like he's willing to talk about like the London Corporation and the City of London. He's willing to talk about technocracy, biodigital convergence, the graphene oxide stuff, the secret society stuff. The one thing I don't get is the lizard people thing. I haven't done the research he's done. I find it hard to believe myself. Yeah, exactly. He lost me with the lizard people. And I like to think that it's like a metaphor for those same people I was talking about who can't feel that spiritual connection to others. The ones that aren't capable of empathy and shit, like deep down they still operate on that like reptile part of their brain where it's me, self-interest, self-propagation, whatever that looks like. And I think that that to me is a believable explanation for calling them like lizard people. Like I don't think that they come from some other planet or something. Like that's just something we disagree on. Most of the other stuff that he talks about, I agree with. But that's it. The lizard people thing, we cannot see any proof of that. Well, that's my thing, right? Is like with the lizard people stuff, it's very, very difficult to prove. And in my opinion, like it's one of those things where like I would need to see it. You know? But that is like what we kind of disagree with. Or I guess like that's the only thing that I kind of take a different position than him on. But anything that you can, he puts the lizard people in the end to make people go, this is bullshit, and just reject all the other stuff he talks about and everyone else who talks about it. And that's where like it does lose me a little bit. Only because like I haven't looked into any of it all. I haven't like tried to verify it for myself, right? And I'm not going to endorse something that I haven't verified myself. But how can anyone agree about everything? We can't. We can't. I think it is impossible. And I think it's healthy for people to disagree with other people. And that's the thing, right? Is I think that some people can. Yeah, I think you should be able to disagree as long as you agree on the important things. You know, the rest, like if me and David can come into agreement on what the problem is, then the rest of it kind of can take like a second, like a back seat almost. In my opinion, like he understands the technocratic agenda coming. He understands biodigital convergence. He understands like the secret society stuff. You know, the bloodlines, the black nobility. He just loses me on the lizard stuff. But I would be interested to see like what you think he is gatekeeping specifically. There's nothing wrong. Is Ike's net worth not $10 million? Everything that I have come to understand about the Ike family, they don't have like a lot of money. That's just my impression. You know, I got a very limited interaction with them. But you know, I don't think that they're like super rich. I think they probably have more money than me. How can the ancient stuff be verified? I feel like history is basically just he said, she said. That I agree with too. Like that's why I kind of say like, you know, I can only go off of like what we are given over the last 6,000 years or so. And after that, it starts to get like real, like I think the furthest you can go back is like the Epic of Gilgamesh. And from that point forward is a long, never-ending consecutive line of unreliable narrators. In Ike's defense, I once spoke to someone who lives just up the street from him on the Isle of Wight, and he told me he seemed like a pretty normal person. Isle of Man. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Is like his two sons came over here like basically right as they already had a trip scheduled, and then they signed me, and they just so happened to be in the area that I was in for Gareth's birthday. And like we ended up going, you know, out to a couple places. We didn't go anywhere super fancy. They weren't buying like 4-course meals. Like I think Gareth got some hot wings, and Jamie got like pizza, and it was at like some hole in the wall bar. And so, you know, if they have money, that I didn't see it. Did you see the interview Dabuma did with his ex-wife, Seven Seas? No, I didn't. Whose ex-wife? Have you listened to Archaics? Jason Breshears? I've heard Archaics come up. They sell us a story and the people buy it hook, line, and sinker. I think Ike tries to integrate the invisible spectrum with reptilian forms. I keep an open mind. He should always highlight this is my opinion instead of stating it as fact. I can agree with that. I think until you're able to produce the evidence, you know, because like I haven't seen the evidence that he's seen. So I need to. And if I can't, you know, the claim, the burden of proof is always going to fall on the person making the claim. With the reality of GMOs, who says there aren't lizards hidden as humans everywhere? So it's actually funny that you say that because you guys know Ozempic and like GLP-1 inhibitors, reuptake inhibitors? Maybe not reuptake, hold on. I was posting about this a while ago when Ozempic was like super popular. But we can go over it again together. And there's the link. But all cultures speak about lizard people or snake people or dragons and have been for centuries. Look at gargoyles, for example. What gives? I'll say this. Since as far back as we can go, one trait that all people have in common throughout all of history that is still true to today is the ability to just make shit up. People can just make shit up. And if it happened so long ago that it's hard to prove, some of the shit that got made up is just taken as fact. Ozempic, didn't that guy who a chiropractor try to say COVID was snake venom? That I don't know nothing about that. But I do know that semaglutides are a chemical structure that was discovered and derived from a hormone found in the Gila monster's venom. Seven Seas could be Red Bar's brother. Who is Red Bar? What is a Red Bar? Glad you're back, Seven Seas. Thank you, thank you. King Charles and the rest of the inbred European aristocracy from Norway to Greece, all related to Vlad the Impaler or Vlad Dracul, the Order of the Dragon. He was not exactly a human person. Yep, exactly. They freaking made it all up. Liars are often popular. GMOs are real. GMOs are real. You can see those happen. Look at trans people. Trans people are GMOs. They might not want to admit it, but trans people are GMO. Dabuma's interview with David Icke's ex-wife Pamela, you must see. All right, I'm gonna bring that up. I'm gonna bookmark it. I probably won't watch it on stream. I try to avoid watching other people's streams on my stream because then it just feels like I'm stealing from them. But I'll check it out. Bullshit wireless keyboard. Archaics, Advanced Research and History of Artificial Intelligence X. X being the demiurge within the simulation. Ah, I thought Archaics was a person. Think he was part of the wellness company? Who? Brian Artis? Let's see. Let's see if I can find him on my web. Or who? If they go along with the surgeries, they are GMO. Most are posers. What about the ones that take hormones? What about the ones that take the hormones or like puberty blockers? Because they would also be GMO. You have to be careful with his second wife. She was an MI6 spy. It was 2.5 hours long. I don't expect you to see it now. I will watch it though. Archaics is Jason Brescher's out of East Texas. But is it also, so is it all, it's also the acronym? Or did he come up with that acronym as a name for it? Male lizards born usually arise from the cooler, more deeply deposited eggs. The lizards y'all speak of are neither cool or deep. Shears. X marks the spot. Grok icon is Saturn, Satan, Gen X. Sign your signature on the X. Yoaz and Boaz and Yashin. Okay, so semaglutides are a chemical structure that was discovered and derived from a hormone found in the Gila monster's venom. Exendin 4 is a 39 amino acid peptide hormone and is an analog of the human peptide hormone GLP-1, which is responsible for insulin production, blocking glucagon secretion, slow the functions of the stomach and digestive tract, and control the feeling of fullness after eating. DNA is responsible for the production of all hormones in the body. Exendin 4 is a hormone created by the lizard's DNA, secreted in its venom and or saliva. Some studies have referenced that it has been extracted from the saliva. Some have said it's from the venom. So I think oral secretions is a good way to generalize that. This hormone has been synthesized into the formula for semaglutides, which is the main active ingredient in Ozempic. This is from Ozempic's own website. The naturally occurring version that is produced in humans, GLP-1, has a half-life of approximately 1 to 5 minutes, whereas the half-life of Exendin 4 is over 20 times longer. This is where it begins to completely disrupt the human digestion process. This hormone is artificially synthesized from yeast to influence human insulin production to change their bodily functions to mimic the biofunctionality of the hormone in the venom and its ability to act as a principal mediator of the postprandial insulinotropic response. One recent study found that semaglutide and a similar medication called liraglutide had higher rates of stomach paralysis in people taking them for weight loss. This was compared to people taking Contrave as a weight loss pill. There have also been cases of intestinal paralysis with semaglutide. Because of this, the FDA has added ileus to the list of potential side effects. In some cases, ileus can result in a bowel obstruction or blockage. During the same study mentioned above, there were also higher rates of bowel obstruction with semaglutide and liraglutide compared to Contrave. Now, this is not an endorsement for Contrave or any other pharmaceutical diet solution. These are dangerous substances and you should avoid all of them. All semaglutides today are synthesized to follow this structure. Injecting chemicals whose molecular structure actively mimics a hormone found within the venom of the Heloderma lizard. Loosely put, injecting Ozempic or any semaglutide is a form of reptilian transhumanism. And that's without getting into the perpetual cycle of vomiting and shitting your brains out, according to the side effects listed on Ozempic's own website. So there you have it. So yeah, there is reptilian transhumanism. And it is Ozempic. So maybe David Icke was, maybe. What's stomach paralysis? Stomach paralysis is when you eat and your stomach doesn't realize that you have eaten and it just doesn't digest. Like the biological processes for digestion slow to a halt and your stomach becomes basically fucking worthless. Do you have an Old World Buildings web video? I do not. Chuck Schumer lies with the ease of breathing. He's very popular, but not necessarily in a good way. Dude, fuck Chuck Schumer. I never liked Pearl Jam. I don't either. Holy fuck, dude. I never thought I would see another person that said they don't like Pearl Jam. You, dude, my girlfriend will tell you anytime a Pearl Jam song comes on, I skip it. Because I'm like, every song sounds the fucking same. And they all suck. Just my opinion. I think the one song I like of theirs was a cover. Name of his YouTube and an acronym. Okay. Okay. Some of the ones who don't necessarily do surgery or hormones are queer Marxists who use trans to mean transcending gender via progressive libtroons who use trans to mean transgender. But all the trans stuff just falls under transhumanism. And that's all I've been able to see it as. So like all these people that are I'm transgender and I hate Elon Musk. I'm like, wow, that's so hard to believe because you guys have the same beliefs. You guys both believe that you can augment humans to become something they're not, and that you are entitled to do that. So I don't know why you guys dislike Elon so much when you have so much in common. Phil Schneider was right. Maybe. I want to see gay zombies. I don't. Do they eat your ass instead of your brain? Like what? I don't. There's a book you can find online for free called Queer Ultraviolence. Very important for work for queer Marxists. Or you can watch Carolyn Borshenko's content. Man, she was the one that was like up Nick Fuentes' ass, right? And fuck Pearl Jam. Yeah, dude, fuck Pearl Jam. At Pfizer's White House press conference thing, he mentioned wanting to make better weight loss drugs. Would love to see a Tavistock Institute web 7Cs. The UK is an interesting place for you to delve into. Man, so the one thing that always keeps me from like super digging into like English, like British politics and like UK politics is I don't like British accents. They annoy me. It's there's a D in bloody. There's a H in hell. Respectfully, like, don't get me wrong, I still see you guys as people. I just view your accents as inferior. I'm sorry. It is what it is. 100% I dislike British accents. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like when the Harry Potter movies came out, all the kids were like, "Oh, I gotta see the new Harry Potter." And man, I was like, I went to the first one as a field trip, and then I just didn't care to watch the rest of them because I was like, they're not pronouncing all the letters. Oi, mate, I bloody might give you a knock on the noggin. Fuck Aussie accents makes me want to jump off a bridge. See, the only reason I like Aussie accents more than British accents is because Aussie accents sound like British people who have a lot of fun. I see Britain and it's like, I think gray, rainy, everyone's complaining. And then I see Australia and I'm like, okay, so they took British people and like put them in like this on this island, this prison island that's just full of like things that can eat you. And, and I don't know. It's like if somebody was explaining like a day plan, like we're going to go do this, then we're going to go do this, then we're going to go do this. If an English person explained an itinerary to me and then an Australian person explained an itinerary to me, it's going to sound more fun coming from the Australian. That's just my opinion. Several, there's 30 plus accents in England alone, but they all sound similar to each other. It's like, you know, I like to think that I don't have a super heavy Southern American accent, but I assume to all British people that I sound like I'm from the fucking backwoods of Virginia. I'm not offended by it. It's probably true. You know, they don't really sound the same. Snatch, the movie starring Brad Pitt. Yeah, the pikey accent. You sound good. Thank you. Aussie and South African better than English accent. I don't know. Someone said speak American to a British person today in a video game. So I said go learn Navajo. Well, so the only thing that I take issue with is you guys don't pronounce every letter. You guys add letters that you don't pronounce. Like, color still sounds like color if you get rid of the U. You know? I don't know. English was their language before it was ours. That's what I'm saying. You invented English. You invented it. Why won't you pronounce every syllable? I know. We don't pronounce a lot of ours, or every letter. We don't pronounce all of ours either. And I also have the same criticisms of American English because of that. Bloody hell, mate. Upper class English accent pronounces all the letters. Do they? So when they spell it color like that, do they say color? Calower? Because it is calower. English is the official language of commerce only. They do? Oh man. Do I hate that worse? My dad is Jamaican and the Jamaicans have broken English. It's just bad English. Patois. Modern English is a mix of languages including German, Scandinavian, and Latin. First I've heard they say it like that. That's why it is not an official language. 7Cs, look up BBC accent versus Liverpool accent. Okay, so the Liverpool accent is a distinctive regional dialect with Welsh, Irish, and Scandinavian influences. Let me see if I can just hear some.
Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome back to English with Catherine. Happy to see all your lovely faces here again.
Happy to see all. What is a all? All?
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to English with Catherine. Happy to see all your lovely
All your lovely faces. English is the language of commerce. Yes, that's why some countries teach it mandatory in schools for business purposes.
faces here again. What do we have today? A video about Liverpool, specifically the
Liverpool. There is an R in the middle of that word. Liverpool. Liverpool does not exist. That's not a place.
accent, also called the Scouse accent. Liverpool is a very
Liverpool. That is not how it's spelled. So all contract in English written down in dead spelling is void.
very vibrant city and seaport in the northwest of England. Now, Liverpool is famous for the Beatles, the amazing band that I absolutely love, and also the football, the friendly people, and many, many things.
The football. The fewer letters you pronounce. Okay, let's see. Let's go. What is SCR?
So I want to tell you the dialect words now. Are you ready? Number 1, scran. Now, if I was saying this in a Scouse accent, I would say scran. Scran. That was actually quite good.
So they roll their R's like Spanish people?
This word dates back to Liverpool.
Is the SCR just the Mexicans of England? Or
But is that
this is the definition of a controlled op, distract us with language drama, just saying. I mean, I'm just going off what the chat said. We covered all the, hey, everything's a psyop, and if it's distracting you from like policy and bills and all that. I just rabbit holed because I think I'm allowed to be a person sometimes. But we covered all that on the front end. Grateful to have both in me, lizard brain. There are places in the hills of this country that many of you would have a hard time understanding. Go on your tangent, Seven. We're here for it. Let's see. Space is fake and gay. Politics is fake and gay. The military-industrial complex is running everything with the full support of the bankers. Scottish. I can definitely notice different accents in British English. For real. Have fucking fun. The English say stay. My last beer fucked my life. No. Okay, so what should I expose? I have 10 minutes left of stream. I have to stop a little early today because I'm in charge of making food. Going to make myself a custom t-shirt, fake and gay, and learn that Candace Owens already sells that shirt. Shake my head. It'll make a graph to show how and where words flow right into each other in your sentences. If space is fake, then what is Earth? Explain this shit to me. Earth is where we live. It is observable by the layman. Who knows if we even have the ability to observe at all? I think that what we all have reached a consensus on of Earth is this plane of existence that we are physically on and can interact with each other. Why is space fake? Because the burden of proof lies on the people that make the claim. And in my opinion, the people that claim that space is what they say it is that it comes from NASA, who lied about the moon landing. It comes from governments. It comes from like the Russian Space Agency, which lied about the moon landing. Like, there's so many things, and it's like, do I think space doesn't exist? I mean, I can see something up there. I don't know what it is, but I don't think that it is what they say it is until I see it for myself. I've never been to space, and I'm not just going to take something on face value that somebody says, you know, especially after the moon landing and shit. Like, I think we can all come to an agreement that the moon landing is fake. If not, I don't know how to help you. Understand that every world government says that the moon landing actually happened. All the scientific communities say that the moon landing actually happened. And if they are also the people saying that space is this big, vast, endless, empty thing, fucking, and there's aliens and shit, it's coming from the same people that lie about that. So why would I believe that? You didn't have enough proof to prove we went to the moon. Where's the proof that space is what you say it is? Don't show me no models. Don't show me video. That shit can be faked. I need to see it for myself. So until NASA is willing to give me a complimentary ride up into space and allow me to exit the craft and spacewalk so I know I'm not just in like an amusement park ride, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And that's the thing, right? It's like, I don't know. I don't claim to know, but I do know that they lie. And if they'll lie about that, they'll lie about fucking everything. Question everything. I look and listen to a lot of talking and read information to do just that. You would have looked pretty flat too if the parachute had failed. That's true. That's true. Yeah, the fucking nukes, man. I don't believe in the nukes either. Uninterrupted live stream from one camera on a space rocket would prove it, but they won't. Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, Elon's going to take us to Mars. Have you heard of Dark Journalist? Sorry, I was about to make a race joke there. No, I haven't. I was like, how dark? I went skydiving twice. I think it was round, but hey, I was caught up in the moment. That's fair. Question, can you do a deep dive on Chris Cornell? Something way shady happening there, please, and thanks. From my understanding, Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington were like working on a documentary to help expose Hillary Clinton's child sex trafficking operation in Haiti. And then they got killed. The Dark Journalist is a Mormon. I've spoken with a Mormon before. So when I went to Bohemian Grove, there was a guy that was like super like throwing Hitler salutes and like saying the N-word with like the hard R. And, you know, I don't care. You know, people can say whatever the fuck they want. I don't give a shit. I'm not here to police anybody's vocabulary. But he was Mormon. And I was like, that's really weird. Nukes are definitely not real. How come Nagasaki and Hiroshima is bustling cities now and Pripyat has lots of wildlife and always had? I agree. I think that the shout out Qbert. I think that the nuke thing was a way for them to, because we were becoming a more secular society, that the fear of burning in hell forever wasn't exactly the most effective way to convince people, you know, to act accordingly. So they needed to find a way to scientifically create hell on Earth. And what better way than a nuclear radiated wasteland where nothing can grow for lifetimes? Chernobyl has black mushrooms that feed on radiation, supposedly. Free speech reigns. AM fam lost me with the endorsement of the hard R, though. And see, like, and that kind of goes back to like when I had first become an atheist, right? And it's like I understand now that like behaving that way does cause division. Now, am I gonna censor myself when I mean to say it? No. But I'm also not gonna like champion some sort of like shock campaign to like piss other people off. That doesn't really accomplish anything, in my opinion. I don't know, that's just me. Search Galen Windsor on my profile to pull up posts about Galen Windsor that I've made. Here's one of the most decorated figures in nuclear history, Galen Windsor exposing the scam almost 40 years ago. And then this is the video of him like eating radioactive material, which he did over 100 times. I'm assuming you mean this video. He did this over 100 times. His accreditations include 35 years experience processing plutonium from nuclear reactor sites as of 1986 when he had shot this video. Worked on the Manhattan Project himself. Worked at the ORNL and the nuclear plant in Oak Ridge. He worked at the General Electric's Midwest Fuel Recovery Plant in Morris, Illinois, and their fuel fabrication facility in San Jose. Worked in every major U.S. reactor decommissioning project from their inception up to at least 1986 when this video was shot, and was recognized by every single member of the Atomic Energy Commission. He spent 2 years traveling to almost 100 cities, willingly exposing himself to both plutonium and uranium, up to and including eating samples of them in each demonstration, and he lived to be 82 years old. So that's what I think about nuclear radiation. That's just my opinion. But hey, you don't have to believe me. He's like the expert. Remember, folks, they have seed bunkers in the Arctic. And they also have patents on all those seeds. And probably all the seeds that they genetically modified from spraying fucking cloud seeding. Really weird how much the crossover there is between Mormons and the intelligence community. The Mormons are one of the, like, basically a splinter of the Jesuit order that just so happened to like take root in Utah. But they are Freemasons like fuck. Like the Mormon religion is Freemasonry and Jesuit. I didn't get a notification. What are we talking about today? Well, I'm almost talked out. Actually, I think the stream on Twitter just ended officially. But I'll give a minute just to kind of talk to you guys and see myself out. Next week, I should be streaming more often. The last couple of weeks, kind of covered this on the front end, but I took a little bit of a break. I'll be honest, I got tired of seeing Charlie Kirk's fucking face. He's one guy. He was a fucking pawn. The fact that people are still talking about him and trying to figure out who killed him is so fucking annoying. I'm exhausted with it. It doesn't fucking matter. So yeah. But what I will say is thank you guys so much. Everyone that's able to kind of see beyond this and know that all of it's a psyop. It's all fucking fake and gay. They're doing biodigital convergence. We're all going to be on a control grid. And there's really not a way out. If you want to be safe from this as long as possible, you have to save yourself. It will not be me. It will not be another influencer. It will not be a politician. It will not be some billionaire. It will not be the guy in your local community that's trying to get you to go live on a reservation. You have to take 100% responsibility for yourself, for your actions, for your standing, and for your preparedness for everything moving forward. That's all I can say. It is up to you. I'm not going to be able to save you. You have to save yourself at the end of the day. Nobody else will. So just remember that, invest accordingly, learn skills, go figure out how to be self-sufficient, learn how to produce food, learn different ways to produce energy. Find a way to create your own like hydroelectric system. Save all the money that you would give to influencers and donate to me or buy my merch or all that. Use that to go build your own stuff. I don't need it. These other influencers definitely don't fucking need it. Politicians don't need it. Stop donating to politicians. Stop donating to all these fucking NGOs that are all, set up to just funnel your money through this shell slush fund of like corporations and shit that are just all different iterations of the same thing run by the same people. Keep your money for yourself. You guys do your own research, head on a swivel. If it's coming from the government or mainstream, it is fake, it is gay, it is meant to distract you, and just make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves. That's it. I'll be live again multiple times next week. And I appreciate you guys, again, all the love and support, even just being here and watching, talking about everything. It feels good to like cut through all the psyops and stuff. And, we'll see you guys next week. Peace out, everybody. Yeah. Build family, build a community, invest in the people closest to you, invest your time and energy and money into the things that give your life value. Peace out.
Thank you.